Iraq's Garden of Eden, parched by drought, is now like a desert. Vast expanses have been baked dry, devastating people and wildlife. This is by Agence France Presse on WND. Huwaiza marshes in Iraq. To feed and cool his buffaloes, Hashem Gassed must cross 10 kilometers at 6 miles of sunburnt land in southern Iraq, where drought is devastating swaths of mythical Mesopotamian marshes. The reputed home of the biblical Garden of Eden, Iraq's swamplands have been battered by 3 years of drought and low rainfall, as well as reduced water flows along rivers and tributaries originating in neighboring Turkey and Iran. Vast expanses of the once lush Huwaiza marshes straddle the border with Iran, have been baked dry, their vegetation yellowing. Stretches of the Chibayish marshes, which are popular with tourists, are suffering the same fate. So it looks like it's not only the European rivers that are falling in the water levels, it's also the fact that this is happening in the mythical Euphrates-Tigris area. The marshes are our livelihood. We used to fish here, and our livestock could graze and drink. This is what Gassad 35 from Hamlet near Huwaiza said. Southern Iraq's marshlands were inscribed as UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2016, both for their biodiversity and their ancient history, of course. But now beds of dry streams snake around the once verdant wetlands, and the area's al-Naj Lake has been reduced to puddles of muddy water along largely dry ground. Now, like his father before him, Gassed raises buffaloes, cattle, but only 5 of the family, around 30 animals, are left. The others died or were sold as the family struggles to make ends meet. No more fish. Nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Mesopotamian marshes suffered under the former dictator Saddam Hussein, who ordered that they be drained in 1991 as punishment for communities protecting insurgents and to hunt them down. The wetlands have sporadically gone through years of harsh drought in the past before being revived by good rainy seasons. But between August 2020 and this month, 46% of the swamplands of southern Iraq, including Huwaiza and Chibayish, suffered total surface water loss, according to Dutch peace-building organization PAX. Another 41% of marsh areas suffered from reduced water levels and wetness, according to the organization, which used satellite data to make the assessment. UN Food and Agricultural Organization in Iraq said the marshes were one of the poorest regions in Iraq and one of the most affected by the climate change, warning of unprecedented low water levels. And it noted that a disastrous impact on more than 6,000 families who are losing their buffaloes, their unique living asset. And biodiversity is also at a risk. So this area is turning into something like a desert. He said that Huwaiza swamplands were irrigated by 2 tributaries of the Tigris River, which originates in Turkey, but that their flows had dropped. Iraqi authorities are rationing supplies to cover different needs, he said. The government wants to preserve the largest quantity of water possible, he said, lamenting unfair water sharing and poor resource management. After pressure from protesters, authorities partially opened the valves, he said, but had closed them yet again. On the Iranian side, the Huwaiza marshes, called Hur al-Azim, are also suffering. The wetland is facing water stress, and currently about half of its Iranian part has dried up, Iran's state news agency said. Hatem Hamid, who heads the Iraq government's water management center, said that on the Iranian side, the main river that feeds the Huwaiza marshes has been totally cut for more than a year. The water needs of Iraqi families and marshlands are only half met, he acknowledged, as authorities are closely monitoring reserves, trying to cover a range of uses, with drinking water one of the priorities, of course. Iraqi officials point to canals and small streams that have been rehabilitated to feed into the marshes, and to where some families have relocated from dried out areas. But is it impossible to compensate for the very high evaporation in the marshes? It's impossible. In temperatures that pass 50 degrees Celsius, that's 122 degrees Fahrenheit, he said. The Chibaye, in that area, the effect of the drought are all too clear to Ali Jawad, who said dozens of families had left his hamlet. They migrated towards other regions looking for areas where there is water, the 20-year-old said. He said, before, when we used to come to the marshes, there was greenery and water and inner peace. Now it's like a desert, he said. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.